Hello, reporter room investigators. So glad to see you guys today. Sorry I'm running a couple minutes behind. I had a little trouble getting online, but I'm here now. Hi, Olwen and Holly and Lynette and Amelia. It's great to see you guys. Thank you so much to all of our channel members and mods and to all of our subscribers. Tara's here. So we have a lot of stuff to get into tonight. Let me grab the first package. So tonight we're going to be looking at something that I haven't talked about on this channel, and I think it's very, very interesting. Let me just grab this for you guys. Hey, Sonia. Zero's here. Donna's here. I'm in so much trouble. Oh, dear. Okay, well, I'm glad you guys are here. Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about today. I'm a little flustered. I had trouble getting on, and you know how it is when your internet's being glitchy. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Francis, welcome to Reporter Room as a channel member. Thank you so much. Welcome. We're so happy to have you. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about. My name is Jessica Davies. I'm an investigative journalist. My job is to investigate crimes, potential suspects, and criminals to teach you how to consider suspects, crime scenes, and evidence. So I just want to tell you that everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion. Opinions are not facts. If you haven't subscribed already, please do like, share, and leave me a comment in the comment section below if you're watching this on replay. And if you haven't joined us in the top chat, come on up. We'd love to have you. And your comments can appear on screen just like this. Hi, Mama Bear. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Bryan Kohberger, and I do talk about this case in terms of Bryan Kohberger because he's the only one that's been arrested, indicted, and is sitting in jail for the crime. So he is innocent until proven guilty. So why did the perpetrator select certain things? If we can understand why and why things were done a certain way, we can also understand who did these crimes. So we're going to be talking about Bryan Kohberger and reports that he had access to police video cameras, including body cam and dash cam, through his master's degree program at Washington State University. Yes, you heard that right. So he would have had access potentially to information to target victims and single out victims. So did he use any of the information that he could have accessed, because the WSU information that was coming through to his university that was there for students to learn from, well, that was from 5 different police departments. Now, it did not include the Moscow Police Department, but could he have learned that you can hack some of these things? And did this lead him to hacking any of the other body cam images? Did he, for example, call in a noise complaint? Could he have seen the food truck video, which was on Twitch? So, for those of you that are new to the case, welcome. If you know this case well, then you're going to be right at home here on Reporter Room. So, did he use any of this information that he may have had access to at WSU to target or select victims? Did he use the fact that he could tap into 5 different police departments at WSU to figure out how to tap into any other police departments, for example, the Moscow Police Department? So did he use this information to select victims? Did he use this information to target victims? Remember, we used to think peeping toms were harmless. Now we know they're not. The stalking behavior just escalates. Now, a source at the Washington State University, where Bryan Kohberger was a student in criminology, told Fox News Digital that his PhD program is privy to a treasure trove, that's a quote, of investigative videos. You heard it right. So This provides graduate students with access to live streams and crime scene videos obtained by police agencies. So this is so disturbing on a number of different levels because was BK using access to these videos from 5 different police agencies to stalk, to target future victims? I think we're going to find out a lot at the trial. And again, BK is innocent until proven guilty. But I am talking about this case in terms of him because he's the only one arrested, indicted, and jailed. So everything I am sharing is my opinion. So the source who reported this has direct knowledge of this program at WSU and said that the materials could not have allowed an unauthorized person to view, could have allowed, excuse me, could have allowed unauthorized person to view redacted crime scene images and videos using controls that could zoom in on faces. So not only could they see the police body cam footage, but they could see, zoom in and move around to get closer up looks. So he could use it to spy on, stalk, select future targets. So this informant told Fox Digital News, and this was somebody from WSU, Washington State University, said that BK was apparently not a part of the program, but students could apply for access to the CSI lab simply by filling out a questionnaire online. So a questionnaire online allows someone to have access to this kind of data. So this is really scary, and it makes me wonder what's going on other campuses in the United States. The informant said, quote, "I don't think that any amount of positive research that has come out of this department is worth the risks of letting a wolf into the hen house." I agree with that. Access is supposed to be granted to the PhD students. We know he was a PhD candidate, and also he was a teaching assistant at Washington State University. So would he have had access to this? But also, in addition to students, technical support people, right? Anybody can hack into this. So how carefully was this video information being guarded? Supposedly, this would give anyone who could gain access the ability to see dash cam and body cam from 5 different police departments, and it sounds like you could just fill out a form online, right? So what other things could he have access to? Did he, for example, have access to the now infamous food truck video, right? That aired onto Twitch. It aired on Twitch prior to that. Prior to this was just hours, right? There's Maddie and Kaylee. Maddie's on your far right if you're facing your TV or your computer, and Kaylee's on the left behind the guy with the beige hat on. So if he could if he could get into those, did he also learn how to hack into anything else? Would he have been able to watch victims on CCTV footage? What do you guys think? Heavenly Cause, I just saw it live. Hello, hello, welcome. Yeah, come on in, you guys. Come on in. Olwen says extremely intelligent. You're right. Hi, Florence. All right. So, hey, Olwen. Okay. So let's continue on because, if he figured out that through his school that these body cam and dash cams could be accessed through school, and we know he had the female student that he put in security cameras into her apartment, was he accessing anything else? I think there's going to be a lot more information coming out at the trial. But it sounds like you could just fill out a form and get access to this body cam and dash cam footage from law enforcement. So the informant said, quote, "They're all obsessed with crimes and criminals. You'd have to be a PhD student in criminology, but sometimes that obsession goes to other levels and attracts this kind of madness," end quote. So the CSI Lab and Division of the Governmental Studies and Services research entities, these are located at the WSU Pullman campus where Bryan Kohberger was a teaching assistant. Now, a spokesperson from WSU, Phil Weiler, denied that Bryan Kohberger could have accessed this and told Fox News Digital that BK never obtained entry to the programs. And again, how closely was this information being guarded by Washington State University? Would the university be willing to admit that BK had access to all of these cameras and data? What do you think? If you think WSU University would admit that they gave Bryan Kohberger access to police body cam footage and dash cam footage, put a 1 in the chat. If you think they would admit it. If you think they would deny it, put a 2 in the chat. So if you think WSU said, sure, yeah, we gave access to Bryan Kohberger to this as part of the PhD program, put a 1 in the chat if you think they would admit it. If you think they would deny, put a 2 in the chat. No, we didn't give him access to this. And they fired him really quickly too, right? Did everything they could to disassociate from him, which I understand. The WSU spokesman said access to the facility is strictly controlled. All research assistants must complete a background check, an FBI Criminal Justice Information Services Level 2 certification, be fingerprinted by the FBI, and sign a confidentiality agreement in order to enter the facility. However, lots of young people can pass a level 2 background check because they haven't really had a lot of time to get caught doing anything yet, right? Most criminals aren't caught the very first time they do something bad. So a level 2 background check is good. But what if somebody, when we know for a fact that Bryan Kohberger had his records expunged, right? He did have a criminal record for when he stole his sister's cell phone when he was 19 years old. So if they've had their record expunged, would it have shown up in this background check? We know he stole from his own sister, and I'm watching my words here to support his medication habit. He was arrested and later his record was expunged. But would this have shown up on a level 2 background check? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. So his father was probably exasperated with BK when he turned him over to the police for this. I highly doubt this was the first time he had caught his son doing something like this. So how safe is police dash cam and body cam data really? Do we want people to have access to you or your loved ones on a university campus site? I don't know. Let's see what you guys said in the poll. Um, Let me scroll back because I'm getting a little behind on the chat here. Grunger says he is a predator. Hey, Mike. Mike says there is a number you can cash dial to see if your phone is hacked and being traced. Thanks for that. Number you can dial. Great. Olwen says, I agree. Linda says, BK was trained in cybersecurity. That's right. I mean, he was a PhD and a teaching assistant at this college. And this footage where all this footage was being stored, that was those computers, that was on the same floor that he worked on. It was all on the same floor. So it's hard to believe he wouldn't have known about it. Brian Saberl of Terra says, Mama Bear, I thought that was have I missed until tonight. Florence put a 2. Betty Fremont said, didn't he steal ID? Could have used accessed another person's identity to gain access anonymously. Great point. We know that an ID of one of the victims was found inside a glove, inside a box at his parents' house in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Did he have anybody else's IDs? Who else could he have seen accessing the CCT data? And did he see Maddie and Kaylee on the Twitch video from the food truck stream that night and know where they were and what they were doing? What do you guys think? I mean, this would have been let them know where they were and what time. Tara put in a 1. Have the cost says we all know it is the Uber drop off was not a coincidence. Shelley puts a 1. Grunger puts a 1 because there may be proof he had access. Joyce put in a 2. Crescente put in a 2. Jessica, if it's expunged, police could see it, but not the FBI. That's what we think. Mama Bear says, you have a grandson now. Congratulations, Mama Bear. All right, so give this video a thumbs up and help me out with the algorithm. Let me just make sure I am on YouTube.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you live at 1122 Queen Street?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so this is the famous body cam footage of the police. Now, if he knew that there was body cam footage, could he have accessed this body cam footage and gotten a layout of the house or known that this was a party house just from simply police body cam footage? He could have been watching, and get this, he could have been the one calling in the noise complaint. Right? He could have been calling in the noise complaint.
Okay. So, hey, the reason that we're here is that we received a noise complaint of loud music, partying. Okay. Once we approached the house, people started running away.
At all, but I want. So, what do you guys think? And I'm going to show you photos of up close of BK's wrist from the police dash cam that I enhanced. I went ahead and pulled that and downloaded that. I did that a few months ago on my channel, but I went ahead and just cut the video so I could show it to you. B. Rindo says, when it was confirmed about the ID, when was it confirmed about the ID belonging to a victim? You can Google it. It was confirmed. Olwen says, 2. Mama Bear says, I think he used it to his advantage. It's a difficult thing when you have to train people, but information can be misused. Yeah, that's true. Definitely true. Zero says, as impulsive, as obsessive as he was, he could have found a way. Hi, Holly. Great to see you. Well, I'm so glad you guys are here. Please give this a thumbs up and consider sharing this on social media. But let's go back. I have some more information to share. Tara says, Jessica, you would be shocked if I told you some of the stuff colleagues do behind closed doors. My sister teaches criminal law and business law. The lady she works with has been there 15 years. And see, waiting for the rest. So, hi, Heavenly. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're like learning a lot. I had no idea that criminology students had access to all this body cam footage. This is new to me. So they're denying that BK would have had access to this program. So I don't know if it's true that he didn't have access, but it is concerning that he was on the same floor. We know he had at least one of the victims' IDs. Had he stolen anybody else's IDs and gotten access? And I'm also concerned that, would the university be protecting themselves in light of the fact that BK could have been watching students going about their daily lives. He could have been calling into law enforcement with noise complaints to get the police to show up to use their body cam footage to observe his victims. Again, stalking, peeping, it escalates. So I'm asking this because the same informant claimed to Fox Digital News to have direct knowledge of multiple individuals who have not gone through vetting. So that's that fancy background check that the WSU is claiming, but multiple individuals who have not gone through the vetting or training to enter the facility, but work there as part of their duties, including their technical support staff. So no vetting for them. Last week, I told you about the young woman who had a break-in to her home. She knew BK, and she called BK instead of reporting it to law enforcement because nothing had been taken from her house. And he reportedly installed security cameras into her home, which he then allegedly used to spy on her. So, using security cameras and finding ways to access them, this was something he was actively doing. And this would have given BK a sense of power and control over his victims. But alarming, according to the informant, it is the DGSS's access to live stream of security cameras around Pullman. So one example taken from a command center shows multiple live feeds, including one person in a car in a restaurant parking in a lot near the Greek Row. So more than 5 police departments share body cam footage with the CSI lab database, including the Pullman Police Department. Remember, BK went to apply for a job there? Well, And we know he already was sneakily accessing footage from this woman who he tended and befriended, probably broke into her house. That's what law enforcement thinks because nothing was taken. And then installed the camera so he could watch her. Allegedly. He hasn't been convicted yet. He's innocent until proven guilty. So, would he have had access to other footage? What about finding ways to tap into other law enforcement footage, not just the University of Washington State University? Please like and subscribe if you're finding this information to be helpful. So students could allegedly apply for access to this CSI lab online by filling out a questionnaire. And again, the CSI computers were located in the same building and on the same floor as graduate offices. And who worked as a graduate teaching a student? Bryan did. So body cam terminals are separated from the department's main conference room by soundproof walls and communicate with internet only through limited pathways. So would BK been able to access these? Did he access these? Was he able to hack into any other law enforcement body cam footage? Would he, for example, could have called in a noise complaint to the 1122 King Road house and sent law enforcement over there, right? And then watched it all unfold.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you live at 1122 Queen Street?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, hey, the reason that we're here is that we received a noise complaint of loud music, partying, okay? Once we approached the house, people started running away.
At all, but I wanted to enhance them. Okay, so I am going to show you photos of BK's hands in just a second. I did enhance the photos from his traffic stop because there's been a lot of questions of whether he has cuts on his hands or not. We're going to go through that in just a second. Steve says you don't need any special permission anymore. Any of us can get apps to view any property we want if we know how to navigate the net. Not hard to get into people's security cameras. So that's just chilling, right? Chilling that somebody can just access the security cameras like that. But it does maybe make you wonder if he could have phoned in a noise complaint to the 1122 King Road house and then just sat back and watched law enforcement respond. Mama Bear says there's a problem with vetting. It only works if people have been caught in the past. Exactly. Zero says this was the picture showing a cut on his wrist. I'm going to I have enhanced those. I'm going to show them to you in just a second. So please stay with me. Owen says, Jessica, do you think he will face? I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's Madison Mogan. Yes, I'm sorry. I had a friend that had the same last name. She pronounced it Mojan, so I always want to say Mojan. Look, y'all. Yep. I do have a little bit of an accent. Stacy said he had her number in his phone. I don't know if he had her number, but he definitely had IDs of one of the victims in his glove, inside a glove, inside a box, inside the Albrightsville house. We also know that he had pictures of at least one of the victims on his cell phone. We don't know if he took them himself or if he downloaded them from the internet. We know that he broke, and I shared this with you in last week's live stream, that he had broken into this other student's house, right? So did he access these cameras? Mama Bear says, yes, Idaho does if they don't have other things available. Before I forget, let me just thank my channel members too. Thank you to our mods, subscribers, and channel members. Without you guys, we would not have a show. So thank you so much for this. Your support means so much. And if you would like to have your name appear in our next video, feel free to join
the house. People started running away.
At all, but I wanted to enhance them for your consideration. Okay, so we are going to look at those enhanced photos in just a second, and you guys can decide for yourself what you see. But my understanding, the reason that there was 2 body cam traffic stops that day was because they were trying to get body cam footage of his hands and wrists. So we know that Kaylee and Maddie were seen in a public Twitch stream ordering food at the food truck that day, just hours before they were done away with. In this video footage right here that we have all seen. So, did he have access to Twitch? I'm sure everybody does, right? So, did he know that they were inebriated? Did he know that they were together? Was he watching them before he got to the house at 1122 King Road House? What do you guys think? Let's see. Heavenly Cloud says he really had victim's ID. Yeah, he had one of the victim's IDs inside a glove, inside a box at the Albrightsville home. Olwen says, I think he's a creeper at the very least. Mama Bear says, to think he could have watched that footage live and seen exactly who was at the house. Yeah. And think about this. He could have been watching this footage of Maddie and Kaylee, and then he could have called in a report, a noise complaint, and then watched.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you live at 1122 Queen Street?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, hey, the reason that we're here is that we received a noise complaint of loud music.
So was he watching the victims? Was he peeping? We know he had a history of it from this other college student. Holly says yes to all of the above. Mama Bear says, oh no, this is Tara. Tara says, Mama Bear, yes, there have been a few states. Yes, that's true. Idaho's one of them, but only if something else isn't available. But this is a capital case. Zero says, so he had previously spent time inside her room. Wonder if he rearranged. I don't know, Zero. We do know this. We know Xana's dad changed the locks prior to November 13th of 2022. We know her dad changed the locks. So did he change the locks because he had heard, Xana thought she had a stalker? We also know Kaylee had reported to her parents that she thought she had a stalker. Was this BK? Was this somebody else? And Holly says, does anyone else remember a photo of Kaylee Gonzalez taken through a window really early on in the case? I saw it. No, but if anybody knows where it is, let me know in the comment section below. Mama Bear says, I come from England, so I don't know about different laws. Yeah, in the United States, Mama Bear, every state is different. In this state, it is a capital punishment case. It's normally like an injection, like sodium pentothal, something like that. And then the other thing that we talked about, I'm going to watch my words here, would only be a backup, a last resort if the other thing wasn't available. Owen said, just the day before. Exactly. Exactly. So let's continue on, because I'm like digging into all of this, and it's just making me wonder, how far did this stalking go and how far did this peeping go? We know he did it to at least one other young woman prior to what happened on November 13th. We know he was terminated from his teaching position after November 13th of 2022. It was due to his troubling behavior. On October 21st, he was told he was failing to resolve the issues that he had between himself and female students who were claiming that he was grading them differently. We know Buddy the dog went missing on October 21st, the very day of that email. And later, we know what happened at 1122 King Road House. I'm watching my words. So, less than 2 weeks before November 13th, BK reportedly had a meeting with faculty members at WSU regarding their growing concerns about his behavior. This is according to the WSU University record. Now, the faculty alleged that some female students reported that BK had made them feel uncomfortable, and this was reported out by the New York Times. In one instance, BK allegedly followed a female student to her car, according to two people who are familiar with what happened. Two people. We've also heard about the 7 sirens, talking about how odd he was with his interactions, how uncomfortable he was making staff, that he was rude to women servers that were working there, that they had like know who he was. There were notes about him in their computer because it was so bad. And so he, came, and we've heard from countless people that they just struck him as odd. And if you think about what he looks like, let me take this down for a second. Okay, so most of the pictures we see of him, he's right with his lips, and then his eyes are really big. So he looks like this, right? Just kind of odd looking, disconcerting, I think would be the word that I would use if I were like encountering somebody with him. Lips. To me, he does look kind of predatory. He just has and we've heard from even people who knew him before he did this, that like knew him, said that his eyes, they've quoted as saying he had dead eyes. Dead eyes. So was he using dash cam and body cam footage or other footage to spy on any of the 4 victims at the 1122 King Road house? Did he have access to the WSU University? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me catch up with the chat here. I'm a little behind on the chat. Well, the cop took pictures of Kaylee's driver's license. My understanding was that was when they were in the house. So I'm not sure why, but I'm sure we'll find out at the trial. We don't know exactly why that happened because of the gag order, but hopefully we'll find out. Chris Sante says, I think he was in the house when they were not there. Maybe that's how he got the idea. Yeah, it is really creepy that he had an ID of one of the victims in a glove in a box at the Albrightsville house. That was like keeping it. It was like a souvenir. Right? So did he take it that night or did he take it another night? And if he could take their ID victim, what would stop him from taking somebody's WSU ID and accessing that CSI computer room and accessing all the computers, all that information with police body cam, dash cam footage, find out who's intoxicated, who's not, who's where at what time. You could really see somebody like him feeling great power over his victims in being able to do that. Mind saying World of Terror says, Mama Bear, I've heard you live on panels. I love the accent. Heavenly says, I feel like there were more guys involved along with BK. Just saying. Well, that's interesting. I've seen that before in the comment section. Why do you believe that? I'm curious. And if there were more people, why wouldn't BK have cut a deal to, flip on them and protect himself? Or why hasn't anyone else been arrested? I'm just curious, like why you think that, and just would love to know kind of where you guys are coming from, because I'm reading and researching and doing stuff, and I'm rattling around in my own head with all of this information. But it really does help to find out what you guys are thinking. This is why I read my comments and respond to them. Chris Santi, that's what I think. Thank you for that, Zero. Holly says, I believe Kaylee Gonzalez was the target. Well, that is like one that we have all gone back and forth on, right? Tell me in the top chat who you think put the name of the person, who you think the target was, because I I first was leaning toward Kaylee as the target also, and it was actually Christy and Steve Gonzalez that made me think, well, maybe Maddie was the target. Um, we don't know. It was probably one of those 2 girls, though. In the house, he went upstairs to the 3rd floor where they were both sleeping. We know from listening to Steve and Christy that Maddie was on the outside and Kaylee was sleeping on the inside of the bed, closer to the wall. So Maddie was first. We know the order of Maddie and Kaylee. That's the only thing we know. We know Maddie was first, Kaylee was second, but we don't know if it's because Maddie was the target or if because he had to do that to get to Kaylee. So Holly, I've waffled back and forth between Maddie and Kaylee, and every 3 or 4 weeks, I've changed my mind on who I think it is. Right now, I'm leaning more toward Maddie just because of what Christy and Steve told us in interviews where they've said that, BK was following the girls on Instagram, and he was messaging. We know from uh, multiple reports that he was messaging at least one or two of the victims on Instagram. But Christy Gonzalez said that when it came to Maddie's photos, she said like he was liking Maddie's photos. So I don't know, but it could have been both. He would have known. I initially also thought it was Maddie because he wouldn't have known that Kaylee was in the house. But now we've learned that infamous photo where Maddie's sitting on Kaylee's shoulders and Ethan has his arm around Xana and the two roommates are in the picture, that was posted by Kaylee on Instagram around 8 p.m. on November 12th, just hours leading up to what happened on November 13th in the wee hours of the morning. Julia says, hi, everyone listening in from the UK. Welcome, Julia. Olwen says, I think the most damning part he was apprehended in the early hours wearing gloves, disposing of rubbish items, very suspect. Yeah, and get this. Law enforcement watched him. He was separating out, so he knew he left the knife sheath behind, right? I think he knew. That's why he went back that morning. Because why else would you take a chance to go back? It would have either been voyeur, I want to see what happened. But if he could, access cameras like I think he could now, he wouldn't have had to have gone back to see the mayhem that he created. I think he went back because he knew he dropped that knife sheath. We've heard reports that front door was wide open. Did he go in? He was at that house for around 10 to 12 minutes, around 9 a.m. that morning. Did he go in to try to find that knife sheath? Because I think he knew he dropped it, and I think he knew that was going to be a problem. Now, that would have been when he got upstairs to Maddie and Kaylee. He may not have been expecting Kaylee to be in the bed with Maddie. And when he pulled it out, he may have gotten more of a fight and a struggle than what he was thinking he was going to have and dropped it, because we know that it was found slightly underneath and to the side of Maddie Mogan. So you're right, Olwen. And why would you sort? People are like, oh yeah, but I wear gloves. Okay. You wear gloves, but when you go to visit your parents, do you sort your wearing gloves, medical gloves, not kitchen gloves, not garden gloves, not house gloves, medical gloves? Do you sort out your trash separate from your parents' trash and place your trash in neighbors' trash bins? Because I don't know anybody that does that. That's weird, right? And I'm going to show you enhanced photos of the body cam footage showing his wrist, hands, and face. And you guys can decide for yourself if you see injuries or not. And I guarantee you there were two stops on that traffic stop when he and his dad were traveling from Pullman, Washington till Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. There's a reason there was a second stop. They were trying to get body cam footage of his hands and wrists and face. So I guarantee you that the enhancing I've been able to do is probably not as good as what the jury's going to get and what we're all going to see during the trial. Olwen said, oh, I got that one. Sorry, Olwen. Okay, so let me catch up with chat. Mama Bear thinks he's scared. Yeah, the face. And then the eyes. He just, the lips like that kind of look like he feels superior. And then the eyes are just kind of predatory, darting around, looking. And his face is like that in multiple photos. Just that tense mouth, wide eyes, looking. It's very unusual. Heavenly said, there was a lot of guys watching at the grub truck, watching them. I watched them watching the girls when they turn around and the girls are facing. Yeah, and one of them was John Jack Showalter, who escorted Maddie and Kaylee. We know this from the Happy Walking video. And we know that he was watching the girls, and he did watch over them until they got into an Uber and went home. Julia says one of the girls upstairs. Yes, I agree. The target was Maddie or Kaylee, because there would be no other reason to go up those stairs. And I think Xana got that DoorDash, so she was up, and unfortunately, She was collateral damage, and Ethan was probably trying to protect Xana. So I asked you guys who you think the target was. Let's see what you guys said. Maddie. Hey, Njaz, good to see you. Maddie. Sherry Light says the ID did not belong to one of the victims. I've shown already the receipts in other videos that show multiple sources saying that it did belong to one of the victims. Six Sense Amelia, she's our head mod, said listening from the Lurkers Lounge. Good to see you all. Good to see you too. Amelia, if you don't know, is our head mod. She does a great job. Heavenly Cutso, I always thought it was Maddie. Zero says Maddie. And Olwen says Ethan and Xana unfortunately were there. Yeah, I think they were the collateral damage. I think had they not been up or not come out of their room, it would have been okay. Holly says, I remember seeing law enforcement paperwork. A warrant mentions Kaylee's social media DM records. Only Kaylee. I'll look back and see if I can. Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, please let me know. I would love to talk about that with you more, Holly. Maybe we can do that during our members only chat after this. We're going to be talking about the John Benet Ramsey case, but maybe we can talk about that too, if you wouldn't mind. That'd be great. Julia says, I don't think he thought a man would be there. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. If he had been watching footage like we believe he may have, and just seen the girls at the food truck that night, he and for those of you that are just joining, you will want to back this up a little bit and listen to the beginning, because we believe he may have had access to WSU CSI cameras linking him to body cam and dash cam footage for five police departments, but the Moscow PD was not one of the five. So did he access anything else? We know he accessed a young woman who he installed video camera from. Did he figure out how to access body cam footage for the Moscow PD? Was he hacking into that? Remember, police took his computer. I'm sure that if he did. And this aired on Twitch prior to that night, but was he calling law enforcement and reporting noise complaints?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you live at 1122 Queen Street?
Yes, I do.
Was he reporting the victims to law enforcement and then watching while it all unfolded, accessing body cam footage from the Moscow Police Department? We know he may have had access through the CSI security cameras of the Pullman, Washington PD, along with four others in addition, for a total of five police departments. Did he access anybody else's CCTV camera? Because he went to great lengths to videotape this young woman, right? He broke into her house, so he staged a break-in, tended and befriended her. So when she called him, he suggested he could install some cameras, installed the cameras, got her Wi-Fi password, and then allegedly spied on her using that information. So, I think we just need to consider the fact that this probably wasn't his first time doing this. And I'm going to show you those close-ups of his hands and wrists of the body cam footage traffic stop in just a second. And you guys can tell me what you think about that. If you think there's anything that they were able to pick up, I enhanced them. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I'm going to show you that in just a second. Let me see. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. Heavenly Cloud says, I was surprised they tore down the 1122 King Road house. They should have waited till the case was over. I think you're right. I agree with you. I think that they should have definitely left it standing. I know the victims' families are worried about that too. And Bryan Kohberger's family may have wanted it standing too. We haven't heard anything from him. Olwen says, thank you. I agree with you. Thank you. I appreciate you, Olwen. Chris says, he was in the house 15 minutes. That's more than enough time to do the crime. He was in with martial arts and familiar with knives. Exactly. We know he worked as a fish cutter. People are like, "Oh yeah, but he got fired from the job because he wasn't good." Well, he still was comfortable enough with it. And we know on April 22nd of 2022, this is being reported out. We don't have confirmation from the Moscow PD. It's because they're under a gag order, but he allegedly, they know he ordered that knife. That K-bar knife was ordered by him on April 22nd. So we'll see if that informant reporting is correct or not, but that's what we're hearing. Hi, Arlene. Welcome. If you want to join me in the top chat, just subscribe and hop onto your computer and join us in the top chat. Steve says, unfortunately, we know a few people with OCD who wear medical gloves for everything. They do so. If BK was extremely OCD, not surprising. That in and of itself, I would agree with. But here's the part that's odd. Separating your own trash from your parents' trash and putting your trash into the neighbor's trash bins, that is odd. That is odd. Going out in the middle of the night, and law enforcement observed him doing this and meticulously cleaning the Hyundai Elantra wearing the medical gloves. That's odd. So that in and of itself isn't odd, but combined with other things, to me, it's, combined with the fact that he was separating his trash from his parents' trash and putting his trash in neighbors' trash bins, that's strange. Mama Bear said, nobody does that with rubbish unless they're hiding something. No, it doesn't make sense. Even the fact that the shower curtain was gone from his Pullman, Washington apartment, heard people say, well, maybe he takes baths or maybe he didn't use a shower curtain. He had a neighbor underneath him. I watched an interview that she did today, and I wish I could show it to you, but I am worried I would get a copyright strike. But she could hear like noises. Believe me, if he was showering with the shower curtain open, water would have come in for months when he lived there. Water would have trickled down into her apartment. She would have reported it. So Bell Moon said the houses are so far apart. His parents' neighbors aren't that close. Exactly. It's a great point. He would have had to have walked down to, so law enforcement had him under surveillance and they're watching him. I'm sure we're going to see photos or videos of him taking his trash and putting it in neighbors' trash bins and his parents' trash into their trash bin. That's odd. So maybe wearing the medical gloves, we could say that in and of itself isn't that weird, although I think it's a little weird. Lips of contempt. That's a great way to put it. And for those of you that are just joining us, I was talking about how let me just show you real quick. But, this is like how he looks to me is just, he has this pursed lips and not just one photo, but multiple photos where he's just, and then his eyes are just like, he's like darting around kind of predatory and he looks contempt and predatory both at the same time. And it's in multiple photos of him.
You can see the
looking
shots of Bryan.
I am going to show you enhanced photos of his hands and wrists in just a second, so please stay with me. Zero says, I don't think he would prefer an outspoken girl like Kaylee, and Maddie would have been nice to him if she ever waited on him. I don't know. I mean, whoever it was, if it was Maddie or Kaylee, but yeah, that's a fair point. Olwen says the dad hadn't a clue, in my opinion, but he does know. Yeah, I think his dad. Yeah, and Bell Moon is saying his lips pursed. It's arrogance. He definitely. We know from talking to people that he has some kind of a superiority complex, right? He feels like he's superior to other people. He's looking down at them, looking down his nose at them. So he definitely feels like he's superior to other people. And so I do think he doesn't have an inferiority complex. I think he has a superiority complex. So yeah, I agree with you on that, Bellman. Matt, you think the target was Maddie? Arlene says Maddie. Olwen says, I believe the mother and sister had their suspicions. Yes, we've heard reports that his sister, one of the two sisters, asked him point blank if he did it because he drove the Hyundai Elantra. And people have asked about the car, like, why not rent a car? He couldn't have done it because he wouldn't have driven his own car. But what were his options? He didn't live in walking distance. So what were his options? His options were to drive his own car or borrow a car or a rental car, right? He needed a car to get from Pullman, Washington to the 1122 King Road house. If he had borrowed a car, they would have had it on CCTV camera and it would have traced back to him. His friend would have said, yeah, he borrowed my car. If he had rented a car, they would have got the rental receipts. And if he used his own car, he could kit the car out, he could Dexter it out, and he could meticulously clean it as many times as he wanted. And we have heard reports that he was in the middle of the night outside. Law enforcement was watching him when he was meticulously out wearing those gloves, cleaning that car because he knew he left that knife sheath behind. He knew. So I think you're right, Olwen. I think that his sister had suspicions and his dad, when he was asked about that 9-hour detour, remember his dad and drove with Bryan from Pullman, Washington back to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. So Bryan knew, right, when he used his own car that he was going to take it back to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and he would change the tags out. That's exactly what he did. He drove the car back to Albrightsville and changed the tags, not renewed them. That would have been cheaper. He changed them. So he knew he was going to be doing that. And his dad talked about this 9-hour detour that he took, right? Why a 9-hour detour? Weather, I could see going like an hour, maybe an hour and a half out of your way, maybe stop, but nobody takes a 9-hour detour for weather. So did BK know he was being surveilled by law enforcement because he got stopped twice? And then at the traffic stop, what did he tell law enforcement? Where are you going? He says, for Thai food. And then Michael, who, is oblivious to what's going on, that's BK's dad, says, we're going to Albrightsville. We're going to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Why tell them they're going for Thai food? That's another. And I think that this case is going to be circumstantial. I don't think it's just going to be the fact that his phone was pinging in the area. It's going to be that they're lining up the car with the cell phone. They are going to be showing the jury where the cell phone is pinging off the towers and where that car was being picked up on CCTV camera footage. They are going to also be showing the fact that he had an ID of one of the victims inside a glove, inside a box at his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. His parents didn't put it in there. They didn't have pictures of Maddie and Kaylee or Xana in their house. They probably didn't even know who the girls were till after this all happened. So he brought that picture with him. It was a trophy or a souvenir. Maybe the ID gave him access to something else. I don't know, but it's just really weird. Again, wearing the gloves, taking your shower curtain with you in and of itself. But again, it's just like another piece to the puzzle. Like, that's odd. I don't take my shower curtain with me when I go to visit my parents' house. I don't throw out my shower curtain before I leave for vacation. I take out my trash, but I don't throw out my shower curtain. So it's odd. And I'm going to show you photos of his enhanced photos of his hands and wrists in just a second. So please stay with me. Let's continue. Let me see what I'm behind on the chat. Let me catch up. Maddie is the consensus in true crime. I still think it was Kaylee by what the coroner said and that warrant looking for Kaylee's DM information. Very interesting, Holly. And you may be right. You may be right. We will find out at the trial because they know the order. Law enforcement knows. The prosecution knows the order. And Taylor knows the order. Chris thinks that Maddie was the target. I've gone back and forth. I thought it was Kaylee. Right now, I think it was Maddie. But, this is just a guess, just like you guys. Owen, this is Zero talking to Owen. His dad was worried about him, asked a neighbor to befriend him, but no parent could ever imagine something so horrible, such a horrible crime. Yeah, exactly, Zero. You're right. His dad knew his son was odd, right? Michael knew BK was odd because he's asking a neighbor to be friends with him. When your son's 28 years old, that's weird to be asking that. I don't know anybody that's their parents are asking them to befriend them when they're 28 years old. I just think that's unusual. Giddo, I hope I'm saying I don't know. Go D for you. I hope I'm saying it right. He was sorting, separating the trash, and putting it in Ziploc bags. That's what I understood. I just know from what I've heard is that he was wearing the gloves and he was sorting the trash and he may have put them in Ziploc bags. I just know he was separating them and he put his trash in neighbors' trash bins and his all the other garbage went into their trash bin. So it's odd. Just one more piece of the puzzle. The we're going for Thai food in and of itself isn't weird, but when you start lining up, you know, 15, 20 things, it gets kind of weird. Holly said, who was the tech guy in charge of all those cameras? A friend of BK's who allowed him to access it. Well, we know he was working at WSU as a teaching assistant, so he could have gotten access to somebody else's ID. He could have gotten access under somebody else's name. You know, who was accessing, you know, we don't know. We don't know for sure he had access or not. But I suspect that we know he was accessing and setting up ways to watch people, right? So this would be another way. Call law enforcement to go to people's houses and then watch them on the body cam footage while law enforcement responds. It's really creepy. Bellman says, I think he had one target and his plan went awry. Yeah, and that's probably, I think you're probably right. And I think that's why the knife sheath got dropped. I agree. Olwen says, why was he traveling in the vicinity on so many occasions? Yes, that's such a great question. That's another thing that his phone was pinging multiple times leading up to what happened at the 1122 King Road house, except for during the actual crime. It pinged going to the house, turned off during the actual crime, and then switched back on as his car headed back to Pullman, Washington. And he took a really long roundabout route. So Ann Taylor said he likes to take long drives. I think, and I've told you guys this before, I believe that Ann Taylor had to put him in the car because she has seen CCTV camera footage that either identifies the car with a license plate, something that definitively identifies the car, or even worse for BK, images of him driving that car on the way or going to or coming back from the 1122. I think there's something like that. But my question for the pinging of the phones, my question is this. Did he continue to enjoy long drives after November 13th of 2022? Did he continue to take long drives in that area circling the 1122 King Road house? Or did they stop after November 13th? Did it just all stop? And did he continue to enjoy long drives when he got to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania? Again, circling. What do you guys think? If you think that he continued to take long drives after the crime was committed, put a yes in the chat. If you think he did not continue to take long drives, that it stopped on November 13th, put a no in the chat. Let's do an informal poll, you guys. Kindheart says, I do not think he knew Kaylee was going to be there. She did not live there anymore. Well, I thought the same thing, Kindheart. I thought the same thing, but then I found out that infamous photo of the Kaylee, where Maddie's sitting on Kaylee's shoulders and Ethan has his arms around Xana, and then we have the two roommates, Bethany and Dylan, on either side in front of the house. That got posted on Kaylee's social media around 8 p.m. on November 12th in the hours leading up. So he might have known Kaylee was there. I don't know, but he may have known. He also could have watched this video footage that we've all seen of the food truck. This aired on Twitch. And he could have very easily have been watching the girls getting their food at the food truck before he went over to the house. It's such a great point, though, Kindheart. Such a great point. Holly says it's Maddie Mogan on the phone screen. Oh, what makes you say that, Holly? Please tell me more. I want to know. Heavenly says, sometimes I feel like some cops knew about this murders, not all the cops, just some, just my opinion. I don't know. I'm not sure. Do you mean after? I don't understand if police knew about it wouldn't they be doing something about it? I don't think they would just sit back and allow this
Yes,
to
I can hear
happen.
you.
Okay. Do you live at 1122 Queen Street?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, hey, the reason that we're here.
So, for those of you just joining us, we are talking about the fact that WSU, on the same floor that Bryan Kohberger's would have been working as a teaching assistant, they had a CSI crime lab with access to 5 police departments' body cam and dash cam footage. So the question tonight, and Moscow PD was not one of them, but the question tonight is, was he watching body cam footage? Was he making calls with noise complaints and then watching the police respond? Was he using this to target other people? Is this just a coincidence that this lab was on there, on that floor? Was he accessing it? What do you guys think? And we're going to be looking at his hands and wrists with close-up images in just a second. Let me catch up with the chat. But Holly says he knew every movement of those kids, in my opinion. I think it's very possible. We have to consider the fact that he did see this footage of Kaylee and Maddie. It was on Twitch. Here's the pictures I was telling you where he just looks tense lips, wide eyes, arms darting around. You can see where people were getting like weird vibes from him. People thought he was odd. He does, and this is like most of his pictures where he's got this like pursed lips where you can tell he has a superiority complex, in my opinion. We know that we've heard from people that said he would always explain things in the most complicated way possible. He would nitpick professors to like point out little inconsistencies or any little thing they got wrong, because again, to feel superior, he had not an inferiority complex but a superiority complex, in my opinion. It's just odd. And there it is again, the pursed lips and the eyes just darting around, and it does look like almost like even one of his friends who had picked photos of herself, she proved it. She was on TikTok. She came forward at the beginning when all this was breaking. She said that she knew him and that he had dead eyes. She described him as having dead eyes, but that she thought he was doing better. So she was surprised that he did this. So did he watch Maddie and Kaylee on this footage? Was he watching this on Twitch prior to going to the house? Would he have known that they had been drinking? Was he watching the girls? I think you're right, Holly. I think he knew the movements. Bellman says, wow, to think he always lived with his parents until June of 2022. And Grizzly True Crime pointed out the fact that there had been no murders in Moscow, Idaho for 8 years leading up to this. And when he was arrested, everything stopped. So is it just, if this was like somebody else, why wouldn't this have continued? Why just stop? Is it because they got the guy? Zero said, I fail to believe that he hasn't been previously diagnosed with some mental illness. Well, we know that is such a great point, Zero, because I believe.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you live at?
I believe that we're going to find out that there was some kind of diagnosis, but they're not going to tell it to us in court. It's going to be withheld from the jury. Maybe we'll find out, but I think it's going to be withheld from the jury because there's already been motions not to bring in his diagnosis into court. So Zero, I think you are right. Olin says nobody else was comfortable with him around. Yeah, at Seven Sirens back in Pennsylvania, they said they thought he was odd. That's above odd. And I'm going to show you body cam footage that the police got. I'm going to show you close-ups of his hands, wrists, and face in just a second so you guys can decide for yourself if you think that this is why they pulled him over twice, if they were trying to get body cam footage of the injuries. We're going to look at those together in just a second, so please stay with me. I'm just catching up on the chat. Betty says, I wonder if the reason his parents were ordered to court that time was because BK used their card or account to order the knife and law enforcement needed oath from parents of this. That's a great, I don't know. They were testifying in some kind of a trial with somebody else that doesn't that we know of have anything to do with BK. So was it just unrelated and a coincidence, or did they need something else under oath from the parents? I don't know, Betty. Could be. We don't know. Belmonson says, anyone else think a BK family members are informants? I doubt it. I doubt it. Maybe one of his sisters could have turned him in. But I don't think they're informants. I think that we've heard reports that one of his sisters point blank asked him. She said that she thought it could be him. She point blank asked him if it was him. So one of his sisters at least had his suspicions. Heavenly says, yes, that's strange, messing around with the garbage. Olwen says, his sister definitely knew, in my opinion. And Mama Bear says, I believe he removed the shower curtain as he showered when he got home, and it would have had victim's DNA on it. Yeah, it could be. I mean, as a criminology major, he would have understood the importance of DNA, which is why I think he went back that morning. I think he went back that morning to the 1122 King Road house because he knew he dropped that knife sheath. He knew he dropped it and he wanted to retrieve it. Now, we've heard reports that that door was wide open. Do you guys remember this? When the case first came out, neighbors reported seeing the door open, the front door open. So did he run in, try quickly to find the knife sheath, and then run back out to his car? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Zero says, even odd people need a friend. A friend could have changed his entire life. It's sad. Yes, it is. Yes, BK does look strange. It is like you see it in every picture of him with the pursed lips, with that superiority complex, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Bell Moon says the houses have a lot of land. Yes, so for him to sort out his trash and separate his garbage from his neighbor's garbage and then place his garbage in neighbor's trash bins. And one of you guys in the comment section said you thought he put it in Ziploc bags with gloves on, but put it in it. I don't know about the Ziploc bags, but put it into neighbor's trash bins. Only his trash, not his parents. It's weird. And law enforcement had to sit and surveil him and just watch. They watched him in the middle of the night, meticulously cleaning the Hyundai Elantra, wearing those medical grade gloves. So it's weird. But Betty says, I'm sorry, but his eyes look like Herman Munster eyes. Oh, wow. Kindheart says he looks like Frankenstein in that picture. Well, I just think he's got that. I don't know. He does have, I don't know. Betty's laughing. Okay, let me see. Holly's laughing. Kaylee, let's see. Heavenly says Kaylee dated a guy one time after breaking it off with Jack, and the guy called Kaylee. I wonder who that was. I don't know, but my understanding is that a lot of the guys came forward and gave their DNA to law enforcement to rule themselves out on this case. They ruled themselves out. They offered their DNA to get ruled out on the case. You know who didn't offer up his DNA? BK did not. Once they arrested him, they had to get a court order to get a cheek swab from him. So he didn't offer his DNA to rule himself out. If you wanted to really be exonerated, why wouldn't you just offer that up? Clear me. Because a lot of other guys did. So Olwen says, you would know by the dad's composure when they were in transit that he was oblivious. Like Bryan was a deer in the headlights. Yeah, Bryan's like, and telling the police officer that they're going for Thai food. And his dad's like, we're going to Pennsylvania. His dad's really calm. So I don't think his dad had any idea at that point what was going on. But I think BK taking that 9-hour detour, that his dad didn't know why they took the detour, right? He told one person he thought it was a weather, and another person he said, I don't know why we took this detour. He thought it was weird. So what was BK doing on this detour? Was he dropping evidence in different bags along the way? Was he knew it was under surveillance and trying to shake law enforcement? Was he just being paranoid and suspicious and OCD about the whole thing? I don't know. But I'm sure we're going to hear about this detour during the trial. Chris says he has shark eyes. Well, his friends that have come forward, like the one who sat with him at that wedding, that has a TikTok account, she said that she called his eyes dead eyes. He has dead eyes. So nothing going on behind the eyes. And Jazz says, you know the saying, the devil has many faces. That fits BK, in my opinion. And Go D for you says he wore medical gloves in the grocery store. Yeah, he was probably super paranoid. I don't know. And Jan is a BK supporter, and he is innocent until proven guilty, but he's not going to get freed, Jan, because he's the only one who's been indicted, arrested, and he's the only one whose DNA matched the DNA on that knife sheath to the octillion. Million is 1, billion is 2, octillion is 8. So almost more than there are people on the planet. He matched that knife sheath. So let's look at these photos, and you guys can decide for yourselves what you guys think. Linda says, who washes the car interior with bleach? Yeah, I don't. You just, soap and water, but you're not in there cleaning it with gloves on. And who's washing their car in the dark in the middle of the night at their parents' house? Somebody who knows they left that knife sheath behind. A hair for kids salon says 2 Honda cars involved. That's why no DNA. I don't know. I think we're going to find out that it's the Hyundai Elantra, not a Honda. And I think law enforcement's going to have photos. I think that's why Ann Taylor had to put BK in the car driving around. I think there's going to be photos of his tag or photos of him actually driving the car, you guys. So we'll see. We'll see what the prosecution has. Godot for you says, like he's strung out with big eyes and clenching his teeth. Yeah, I don't think he is. I think he's sober, but very, very weird. You've given such oh, thank you, Heavenly Clouds. I really appreciate that. That's very kind. Godot for you thinks he is very narcissistic. And Jody says, hello. Hey, Jody. Good to see you. Welcome. Tara says, there are times that circumstantial evidence is stronger than having, a body. You're right. And in this case, we have 4. We have 4. And Olwen says, do you personally think, Jessica, they will have enough to convict him? Will there be reasonable doubt? Well, it's hard for me to say because I haven't seen all of the evidence, right? We have this gag order, so we haven't seen everything. So, I'll leave it to you guys to let me know. Do you think there's enough to convict him? I think it is going to be a circumstantial case. And to me, stuff is already piling up. It was enough for a grand jury to indict him. Is it enough to convict him? Well, all Ann Taylor needs is 1 juror. So I honestly don't know. I mean, Casey Anthony was found not guilty. So O.J. Simpson was found not guilty. So all Ann Taylor needs is 1 juror. Bellmoon says most likely he either thought he was being surveilled or wanted the car computer to delete GPS information. That may have been the reason for the 9-hour detour. Oh, wow. Very good theory, Bellmoon. Very good theory. All right, let's look at this footage. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anybody. Georgia, I thought it was 12 times in 3 months. That's not a lot. Well, that's 12 times leading up to that night. I don't know. I think it's a lot. There's no tunnels. There's tunnels in every city. There's access for your Wi-Fi, for your gas, if you have gas, if you have if you have phone, there's phone lines running under any city. But when they took down the 1122 King Road house, I hope we can put an end to there's tunnels under the house. There was no tunnels under that house. None. And believe me, if there had been tunnels, I would have made a video about it if I would have thought there was any credibility to the tunnels. But you guys deserve to be told the truth. So I am here just bringing you evidence-based information that's got, journalistic sources, something like that. I'm not just here bringing you my opinion. I'm sorry, I am bringing you my opinion. Let me clarify that. I am bringing you my opinion. Everything I'm sharing is my opinion. Opinions are not facts, but I'm bringing you based on evidence based on information that's been vetted by multiple media outlets. I hope so. No tunnels under the house. So I think we can put the tunnels away. Please, let's put the tunnels away. There was no tunnels running on the 1122 King Road house. It got torn down. There was no tunnels under the house. So, you know, it was an interesting theory, but every town has tunnels and access wires and electricity cables underground, phone line, wireless and regular phone lines running underground, heat pipes, gas pipes, all kinds of stuff like that underground in every town in the United States. This was, but there's nothing under the house. His sister knew he did it. I don't know. She certainly suspected, it sounds like. No, no, yes, 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 no, yes. I'm just trying to get the poll. Susan says he may have thought about that and continued to drive around for an alibi if he was ever caught. Yeah, I'm like really going to be curious to see if he continued to enjoy long drives, like Ann Taylor said. But let's take a look at these. Let's take a look at these images. We're going to look at them twice. So if you don't get a good look the first time, I'm going to back it up and run it for you again. Let me know what you think. Here you can see the shots of Bryan and his father. Now let's zoom in on Bryan's face. And now we'll get just a little closer. Okay, so some people have said that they see a bruising. Let me know what you think. I'm not saying there is or there isn't. I'm just going to show you the images. What do you see? Next, let's go back to the still shot of the traffic stop. Now let's zoom in on Bryan's right wrist. And now we'll come in just a little bit tighter. Now, to me, that does look like a cut. It looks like maybe an inch to an inch and a half long cut on the right wrist. But let me know what you see. What do you see? Let's look at it one more time. We'll look at the face and the wrist. This is why he got stopped for the traffic stop twice. Let's take a look. To the still shot. Let's look at it one more time. Of the traffic stop. Now let's zoom in on Bryan's right wrist. And now we'll come in just a little. Okay, so that's the right wrist. I believe I see a cut there. A bit tighter. I do believe that's a cut. What do you see? And I think that's why he was pulled over. Let's look at the face one again. I do not, in my opinion, I do not, what I was able to enhance, I do not see anything on the face. Some people have said they believe this is a bruise on his left cheek. You can see the shots of Bryan and his father. Now let's zoom in on Bryan's face. And now we'll get just a little closer. So I'm not convinced that that's a bruise. Now, law enforcement will have better enhancement technology than what I have. But this, I don't see a bruise. But if you guys see one, let me know in the comment section below. But I do believe, see? I do believe there's a cut on his wrist. Next, let's go back to the still shot of the traffic stop. Now let's zoom in on Bryan's right wrist. And now we'll come in just a little bit tighter. What do you see? So what do you guys think about the cheek? A lot of people have purported that that's a bruise. And some people have said this is a cut. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed to Reporter Room, please do. I'm going to be airing the trial on this channel, and we can watch it together. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Thank you to our awesome channel members, our awesome mods, and to all of our subscribers. Thank you so much for being part of Reporter Room. You guys have been just awesome. Your comments are great. I really enjoy hearing what you guys have to say on all of the topics. I learn so much from watching you guys and reading your comments. Amazing to get to see you guys each and every week. So again, thank you so much for being part of Reporter Room, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.